Hey there guys, I hope you're very well. My name is Kai Shinkert and I keep you up to date with all things Dragon Ball, but in this video I'm going to be talking about something very small in Dragon Ball, and that is the existence of the previous Kamis or Guardians of the Earth. Now, they didn't feature that much in Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z, but there is a little bit there in some episodes, so I'm going to expand upon this and go into great detail. So in this video I'm going to be referring to two terms quite a lot, and I think I should define them for you now. So when I refer to Kami, this is actually the Japanese name for Guardian of the Earth, and then if I refer to Kami-sama, now that is the nameless Namek, the Namek that was Piccolo and Kami fused together that originally came to the Earth as a young boy. The Kamis before Kami-sama, or the nameless Namek, were called the Kamis of the past, according to Daizenshu 7. They are presumably, this is kind of headcanon, they're presumably an abnormally powerful human that becomes the actual Kami, the guardian of the Earth. So that way, Kami-sama is very different to all the previous guardians. Now, it was never actually shown how the previous Kamis looked as a living being, but in the Garlic Jr. Saga of Dragon Ball Z, in episode 113 to about 115, they can be seen as ghosts when Kami-sama and also Mr. Popo go to spread the holy water into the 7 air currents of the world. And it's really strange here because when they show these guardians, they're kind of depicted as kind of like evil. That's the kind of vibe I get from it, and I don't understand why they kind of didn't make them seem a lot nicer and a lot more righteous and good, because they're the guardians of the Earth, they love the Earth, they are supposed to be standing for the good for it, but they were technically dead, so they didn't have that responsibility anymore. They came out of their graves, and I'll go into a little more detail about that scene in a moment. I just firstly want to talk about the character of the previous Kami before the nameless Namek. So in Dragon Ball episode 125 entitled Earth's Guardian Emerges, the previous Kami would not approve of Kami-sama being the next Kami, presumably for two reasons. The first was that he had a trace of evil in his heart, and that he had to actually isolate that, and we know that he separated himself from that evil, and therefore Piccolo was born. But the second was perhaps that he disliked Kami-sama because he was not from the Earth. Now this is a very important point, and so he was an alien. And in Dragon Ball Z episode 114 entitled Extreme Measures, now this was in the Garlic Jr. Saga, on the way to the bottom of the lookout, they travel through the Shinsenkai, or whatever, that's Mr. Popo and Kami-sama. And this is a place at the bottom of the heavenly realm where the graves of the former Kamis are. Now, Kami-sama is confronted by the previous Guardians, who are actually very angry that he has disturbed this very holy place. And Kami-sama explains the situation and states that although he is not from the Earth, he loves it more than all of them, and they should be ashamed to come against him in light of the evil that has manifested itself because of Garlic Jr. Now, as we know, the previous Guardians then pursue Kami and they actually torture him with electrical charges. But once Mr. Popo does manage to put the holy water down into the air currents, they come to their senses and they just teleport Mr. Popo and Kami-sama back to the top of the lookout. But they were so hostile to them both, especially Kami-sama, because he wasn't actually supposed to be there. It was a very holy place, and it was probably somewhere in the lookout that he was never supposed to go. And they probably also had still some dislike for him because he was not from the Earth and being a Namek. But nevertheless, they should have liked him because he never did anything wrong to the Earth. He was probably one of the best guardians that the Earth has ever had, Kami-sama. That's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to tell you about the previous Guardians. But of course, we don't actually know very much about them. We only know about the penultimate one before Kami-sama, and that in itself is not very much. So the only other thing we know is that the Guardians do have God Ki. When they become the Guardian, they gain God Ki. And this was kind of hinted at in episode 9 of the Battle of Gods arc in Dragon Ball Super. This is when Dende reveals that, yeah, they have God Ki, because he can sense that Goku has become a god after the Super Saiyan God transformation. Piccolo kind of indicates to Dende, has it worked? And he's like, yeah. So therefore, if Dende can sense God Ki, then he must have God Ki himself. So there's the proof for that, guys. Now my last point is this. Wouldn't it be great if somehow Dende could actually contact these previous Guardians of the Earth without disturbing them in the Shinsenkai, their graves? Because they would be able to access lots of information about the Earth and actually how it's managed to stay there throughout the Universe 7, because we know in Universe 6 that the Earth is completely desolate because of internal conflicts with the Earthlings there. So if we can get in touch with the previous Guardians, we can find out how things have managed to stay as they are. I mean, there's always Zuno they can go and ask these questions to, but there's always the chance that he won't be able to answer them because they won't be able to actually get the questions off him. I don't know, I just think it'd be really interesting to talk to these previous Guardians. I don't quite see how it could work in the story at the moment, but it might be an interesting thing for them to include in some kind of filler arc, maybe if Garlic Jr. comes back again, because he is immortal, so he could come back again. But anyways guys, thanks for watching this video, hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to give it a like and subscribe, because I keep you up to date with Dragon Ball and all things Dragon Ball Super as well. So I hope you like the channel, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.